My 49 female, husband, 54 male, passed away suddenly 7 months ago. We were together 5 years, married for 3. He had a daughter, Allison, 20 female, from a previous marriage, and I have 2 daughters, 19 female times 2, from a previous relationship. It should be noted that our finances were separate, and joint accounts only had enough money to pay bills every month. Allison and I weren't close, but she had an okay relationship with my daughters. When my daughters graduated high school, they took a gap year before heading off to college. My husband had promised to help with the expenses. Before they could start college, my husband unfortunately passed away. In his will, he left me and my daughters exactly $1,000 each, and everything, including our home, a 4-bed, 3-bath house, went to Allison. After the will reading, I was disappointed because I had already told my daughters that they would be getting help with the college expenses. But now everything went to Allison. A few days ago, I contacted her and asked if she would be willing to split the inheritance money with her sisters, and she said no. Since husband had only verbally promised, I couldn't contest it. However, my girls will be starting college in a few weeks, and so I've been repeatedly asking Allison to keep her father's promise. She said her father had never mentioned anything about it and accused me of being a gold digger. I told a few family members, and they, along with my daughters, have been messaging her on social media. Yesterday, Allison served me with an eviction notice, while she had previously agreed to let me stay there till my girls finish college. I posted about this on social media, and Allison's older half-brother commented saying, "Had I not been so greedy, I might have not been evicted." Since then, Allison's friends and family have been consistently calling me names on social media. I was just looking out for my girls. Am I the a-hole? I might be the a-hole because I kept pushing the topic after Allison said no. You're the a-hole. 1. You and your daughter's father should have been saving this whole time for their college. 2. According to the comment from your stepdaughter, you didn't let your husband pay for her college education, but you think he should pay for your daughters. 3. What was your game plan on housing? In merged families, you need a clear plan once inheritance is sorted. 4. You could have had a house and somewhere to live had you not set up a load of people to harass your stepdaughter. This is the consequence of your actions. 5. I'm trying to figure out what went wrong with you and that you can't even see what's wrong here with your behavior. You're the a-hole. If your husband really wanted to pay for their school, why did he leave only $1,000 to each of you? Stop being entitled to other people's money. As you said yourself, your finances were separate, so it's up to you to deal with the cost concerning your kid's life. OP, they are not entitled to a split of the inheritance, even if she was kind enough to give them anything. How does helping with school turn into splitting her inheritance with siblings by marriage? She was kind enough to let you stay in her house, but you were ungrateful and harassed, begged, and complained your way to eviction. I wonder if your children had received an inheritance from their father. Would you want to split it with your former stepdaughter? I bet not. My girlfriend's parents are divorced, and her father passed away at the end of last year. She was his only child, so she inherited most of his assets, which was a lot, because her father was a wealthy man, at least by my standards. The problem started after she took care of all the formalities regarding the inheritance. We moved in together, which made me happy because we've been together for 4 years already. At first, I thought that the apartment we've moved in was the only one she inherited, because we didn't speak much about her father's fortune, but it turned out that it was just one of the 5 apartments that she inherited. I asked her why she would withhold this information from me, and she told me that she hasn't thought that this would be so important, and she decided to either sell or rent the rest of the apartments. It made me feel kind of uneasy. If we are together for so long, and we've both decided to move in together, then shouldn't we both discuss and choose which apartment to move into? She apologized though, so I left it at that. But it didn't end there. I later learned that she also inherited a house that she has sold without consulting me. She argued that she wanted to give the money to her mom, so she could live comfortably. But I don't believe that anyone would just sell a freaking house to give money to someone else. That's pure BS. Another thing that is making me confused is how she just doesn't want to share. Her father left a car and lots of electronics, like a MacBook, and she just claimed it, without even asking if I need a new laptop or something. I'm not expecting her to not use her inheritance, but we've been together for 4 years. She knows that I was thinking about buying a new laptop. It would be nice if she at least asked. I also thought that she would at least let me drive the new car, but she's also started to brag about how it's her first car, etc. She's not even driving it, because she prefers to take a bus or walk to most places. She also wants to split bills evenly, even though I know she has a lot more money now, and I'm pretty sure she wouldn't even need my share of payment. I asked her about it, and she actually got kind of mad at me this time. Told me that we are not married or anything, and I shouldn't just expect her to give her whole inheritance to me. So, yeah, just usual over-emotional woman BS. Because that's not what I asked for at all. I told her that I just feel left out because she's deciding what to do with the apartments herself, and then she's just claiming the car and the MacBook, while I'm here too. She just doesn't want to understand. She actually argued that this is exactly why she never told me about her father's wealth, as if I was some gold digger or something. How to make her realize that her selfishness may break us apart. I feel like it's harder and harder for me to commit, when I know that there are good people out there who would be way more caring in a relationship than her. I was thinking about suggesting a couple therapy, because I love her and I don't want to break up, but she has to realize that she's not alone, and I should be involved in the decisions she's making. You are insanely selfish. What the duck? She's right. You are not married. She doesn't have to share any of it with you. Stop being like this. And yeah, good on her for not telling you, since you've ended up being a grabby beggar who thinks his girlfriend's property is yours. Over-emotional woman BS? You've got to be kidding. Are you really this blind? She didn't tell you because she knew you would react like this. Yes, she sold a house to give money to her mother. She has more than enough, and she wanted to share with her mother. Why should she need to consult you about decisions that don't affect you? You are so unbelievably selfish. She's right. You're not married. It's her inheritance to do as she wishes. Even if you were married, she can consult your opinion, but it's still her inheritance to do as she wishes. I'm sorry, but you're 100% wrong in all of those. It's not emotional girl BS. You're trying to tell her what to do with her stuff, and you're resentful that you didn't know about it ahead of time. You're right. This relationship is going to break up over selfishness, but not hers. I, female 32, have been with my husband, male 33, for 7 years. During this time, we've been fairly close. We don't have any kids, since I'm not a big fan of them, but he's always taken good care of me. 2 weeks ago, his grandmother died peacefully in her sleep. We were both very close with her, me especially. My family-in-law haven't been very accepting of me, and she was the only one who really took the care to know me better. We had similar tastes in fashion, jewelry, and makeup, and we really bonded discussing different products. Naturally, my husband and I were both very upset when we heard the news. However, I think her funeral helped us both get the closure we needed. Now, here comes the part where I think I might have been the a-hole. In his grandmother's will, she gave him all her jewelry and me nothing. We were both quite surprised by this, as what would he have to do with jewelry? He said it would probably be because they had fun dressing up in it when he was a kid. But I was a little skeptical of this, as what use would he have for it as a fully grown adult? I told him he should just give it to me, as I would probably use it more anyway, and if it was his, it would just be put somewhere gathering dust. He told me that wasn't what he wanted, and he wanted it for nostalgia purposes. I thought that was ridiculous, and I told him as much. He then got very upset with me, saying this was the only thing he got in the will, and he wanted to keep it for himself. He then said that I was being insensitive, and I should just let him have the jewelry. I left it at that in the moment, but later I told him I thought he was being selfish and inconsiderate of my needs. He's been cold with me ever since, and I've been doing the same. I think he should at least apologize to me for being so greedy, as he wouldn't even let me have one necklace. So, am I the a-hole? I don't think I am, because I'm just being rational, but I'm always open to other opinions. You're the a-hole, sorry. Grandmother is barely cold in her grave, and you're after the one thing she chose to leave her grandson. You're the a-hole, and greedy, and totally insensitive. You have known the woman for 7 years. He has known her for 33. He looks in the mirror and maybe sees her eyes staring back at him. Or maybe he sees her nose or hair color. She is a part of him. He has 26 years of memories of her that do not include you. But you are more concerned about getting your hands on her jewelry. Back off. And maybe if you are apologetic, he will let you borrow a piece. But these are his possessions, not yours, and he should not give you a single piece. You're the a-hole, his grandmother, his jewelry. She was his grandmother for 33 years, and yours by marriage for 7. So whatever needs you think you may have are automatically trumped by his. Get over yourself. My mother passed away a few weeks ago, and her house has become an issue between me and my sister. I'm married with 3 kids, and my sister is married but no kids yet. We both live in small apartments. I think because I have a family and she doesn't, I should get the house. She is fine with me getting the house, but wants me to pay her for her half. I feel like I have never heard of that. Usually one child inherits the house. I think that's crazy. We are family, and I have 3 kids and a wife to provide for, and she is using our mother's death as a payday. There's no way I could afford to give her that much, and she knows it. Now she wants to sell the house and split the money from it. My wife and I think she is being beyond selfish and putting money above family and being an all-around brat. Now she is demanding I decide what I want to do with the house, but I'm not budging. When she wants to grow up and put family before money, we can talk. Edit. It's worth adding, my mother put all her jewelry in a safety deposit box years ago and had my sister and herself on as people who could access it. So my sister is getting all her jewelry. Because, in my sister's words, our mom wanted to make sure it went to the right child, so she isn't getting nothing. You're the a-hole. Actually, selling the house and splitting the proceeds is what usually happens in situations like this. Sorry, the idea of sister gifting you the house is not a fair result to your dilemma. You're the a-hole. If there's no will, then the estate is split between the children, if there's no surviving spouse. Why does your decision to pop out kids mean she doesn't get her share? Buy her out if you want it, and if you can't, then sell it. You're the a-hole. What does the will say? It's very typical for property to be split and one party buy out the other party. That's not strange at all. You say your sister is just looking for a payday, but if you get the house, that's way more valuable than cash. You're asking to get 100% while she gets 0%. How is that fair? I, 40 female, have been married to my husband, 39 male, for 6 years. Before we got married, I was financially independent, making good money at a job I'd had for 12 years. After we got married, I became financially dependent on him for 2 reasons. 1, I got pregnant very soon after our wedding, and we made the decision that I would quit my job then because it involved daily exposure to toxic chemicals. And 2, we moved closer to family when our son was born, to a place where there were no jobs available for my skill set. So I put my career on pause to stay home with our son for a while. Transitioning from financial independence to dependence on my husband's income for everything was difficult for me. I've worked on rebuilding my career for the past 3 years and am now making some money again, but not as much as I was making before. He earns 3 times more than I do. All our accounts are shared and he manages all the money. We're saving to buy a house, and part of that effort includes limiting our recreational spending, clothes, hobbies, etc. I often go over my monthly personal spending budget, and it stresses both of us out. Him because he sees all that overage as lost money that could have gone towards a down payment, and me because I am not used to someone else having a say in how I spend money. Last year, my dad was killed in a terrible highway accident by an impaired driver. As a result, I'm receiving a settlement payment and an insurance payment. The settlement is a larger amount of money than the insurance payment, about twice as much. I told my husband I want to put the settlement money into our savings for a house, and the insurance money into a separate account for myself. This surprised him and made him uncomfortable. He gave 2 reasons. 1, we've pulled all our resources since getting married. 2, me having a separate account makes him worry that I'm planning to flee the relationship. He also pointed out that I have habitually overspent my personal spending budget and suggested that I consider paying that money back into our house savings instead of keeping it for myself. Here's the thing. The settlement money I plan to put into our house savings amounts to more than 18 times the amount of money I owe from going over my personal spending budget. When I pointed that out, he shifted to talking about other accounts we have that would be healthier if we put the insurance money there instead of into a private account for me. I tried to explain my reasoning to my husband. My dad and I were close, and his death was traumatic for me. This money can't ease the pain of losing him, but it could ease some of the pain I've experienced from losing my financial independence. It would give me a little peace at a time when I feel lost in grief. Lastly, if the tables were turned, I wouldn't question his wishes concerning money that came to him through the death of a loved one. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. You guys have pulled finances since the start of your relationship. This is a really odd time to decide you no longer want to do that. In all honesty, what this reads to me is that you were, and are, happy to spend his money and have him support you and your family, but aren't willing to do the same when it's your money. It's not even a blip in your mind, given he had to suggest you pay back what you've overspent from the down payment fund. Info. You completely glossed over the monthly overspending. What are you buying, and how much are you going over? I understand the settlement amount you would be contributing is more than what you have spent, but it sounds like you plan to keep spending more than your budget allows. Sure, the extra money will offset it for now, but not forever. There is a lot of missing info here about the financial compatibility between you and your husband, OP. I'm buying secondhand clothes, house decor, and hobby supplies. I like to do macrame, embroidery, and a bit of gardening. I've gone over my spending budget for the last 18 months by 23%. You're the a-hole. I suspect if the roles were reversed, you'd be mad if your husband put some in another account. Sounds like you have major issues in your marriage. He thinks you're hoarding the money to leave him, and you sound like you have a lot of resentment. look into marriage counseling.